Hey, welcome to TheTomsters Show. Today is episode 3 of TheTomsters Show, and I hope you are ready. I hope you are buckled in, because today's topic is Taylor Frankie Paul, avoiding accountability and psychobabble. Thank you, producer George, for that sneeze. You doing okay? Perfect. So I want to talk about the Taylor Frankie Paul situation going on right now within Mom Talk and the goings on and the avoiding of accountability as I see it, and then a grander discussion about psychobabble, what that is, and the issues it presents. Now, before we get any further, the sexiest thing to do before a podcast really begins, I have some disclaimers, okay? Or one, I fully admit, and I am fully aware, that I do not know everything going on in Taylor Frankie Paul's life. I only see what is shared publicly. So my conclusions and my opinions are based on that information, not of her as a whole. I don't know her in the slightest, beyond what she chooses for us to see, what her friends choose for us to see, what the show Secret Lives of Mormon Wives shares with us, okay? I am fully aware of that. I fully admit that. And with that, who is Taylor Frankie Paul? I'm going to give you some basic details as if you've never heard of her at all, but I'm obviously not going to get you or give you everything there is to know about Miss Paul. First of all, that's one person, Taylor Frankie Paul. All right, one name, one person, 3 names. Okay. Taylor Frankie Paul rose to fame as an influencer during the COVID times over on TikTok, okay? And during this rise in fame, she made friends with other moms. They took the word mom, they took the word TikTok, and they combined it and made Mom Talk, a group of moms making videos, all right? The premise of this group, moms are cool. Specifically, Mormon moms are cool. Hey, look at us. We're chilling, we're cool, we're normal. It all comes to a head. At some point, a number of years ago, details surface, and then Miss Taylor Frankie Paul goes on to a live stream confirming these details, that this Mom Talk group, some of them were hanging out with the moms and the spouses. And at these hangouts, they were swapping spouses. Not all the way, but a little bit of the way. They called it soft swinging, all right, a term that they came up with. I'm pretty sure. Never heard of it before or since. But let's say couples were, I don't know, swapping and kissing and stuff. Now, Taylor Frankie Paul admits that herself and a man from another relationship took it beyond the soft swinging. So what that did was ruin a bunch of friendships, ruin her personal relationship with her then husband. They have since divorced, and it caused a lot of drama, as I'm sure you can guess. Born from this drama, a TV show presented by Hulu, all right, called The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. The premise of this show from episode 1, season 1, was supposed to be about this drama. And by the end of the first episode, you learn that that's not what the show's going to be about. We see the end of episode 1 of Taylor Frankie Paul actually being arrested for a domestic violence situation, which plays a role in this whole story. And then episode 2 and 3 and 4, then season 2 and season 3 and season 4 is just more of this group, this Mom Talk group, this group of women out in Utah and their lives, the drama. But it quickly devolves from hee ha ha drama, like reality TV typically presents, to some really tough subjects and some really rough scenes. And what I mean by that is, you're like, oh man, these are real issues. This is not the cameras turn off and kind of the performance drops like a lot of reality TV. This is like really real life problems and issues that I don't think we need to be seeing as a general populace. And part of that is Taylor Frankie Paul, where she has been the main focus of the show for the 4 seasons of the show. A couple years the show's been a thing. A lot longer. Mom Talk has been a thing. A lot longer than a couple years has her presence on the internet been a thing. And she has built a platform on the foundation of like it or hate it, I'm me. Like it or hate it, I am who I am. And we have seen that attitude lead to a number of situations, including that end of episode 1, season 1, where the cops are called because, as we have since learned in the last number of months, she had a big fight with her then boyfriend and the father of her youngest child. His name's Dakota. I'll talk about him in just a half second. Just wait on that. She was throwing chairs at him, and one of them struck or nearly struck her young daughter. And that has been, we knew about that detail, but seeing it on camera is a different thing. And that footage has only recently released. The initial story that came out in 2023, so 3 years ago. But you add footage to the story, and it does add a significant element to it all. Now, about Dakota. I'm not going to talk about him a lot here because that's truly, again, we'll get to more details. That's not, when I'm talking about her surprising lack of accountability, it's not around the Dakota stuff. Okay? For me, when I'm talking about it, it's not about that stuff. Dakota and her have had an on again, off again relationship. It's an abusive relationship. According to a judge, he sees fault on both sides. My opinion of Dakota, if you've been following me on social media, has been clear. I'll make it very clear here. I think he's an absolute capital B, capital U, capital M bum. Certified bum. All right? Could teach at Bum University as a tenured professor. I'm not a fan, have never been a fan, and I don't think he should show up on reality TV anywhere and should just stay off the cameras and live a normal life. Okay? Some people are built for reality TV, okay? Some people aren't. And some people just shouldn't be in front of cameras for a number of reasons. I'm of the opinion he's one of those who should just be over there, okay? The reality TV world's just not for you, my guy. Please, just focus on yourself elsewhere. Anyways, in seasons 1, 2, 3, and 4, we see the relationship between Dakota and Taylor, and it's very up and down. Very up and down. High highs, low lows. They get together, they break up. Get together, break up. Get together, break up. It all comes to a head at the end of season 4 and to what's happening in real time, where each other, Dakota and Taylor, have asked for protective orders against one another and have each requested custody of their child that they have together. And once you get there, I mean, that's a very intense place. And the hearing for those protective orders is public. Now, a couple days ago, in preparation for this episode, I posted a video where I said I'm of the opinion that Taylor Frankie Paul might actually be allergic to accountability from recent actions. And I share some thoughts, and that was to preview this episode. She found the video, commented on the video, and told me to watch the hearing, rewatch the hearing. So I did. I spent 2 hours, 2 days ago, watching it because I was like, oh, okay, I maybe missed something. Maybe I missed the part in the hearing where she stands up and takes accountability. And in those 2 hours, I heard 3 people talk: the judge, the lawyer for Dakota, the lawyer for Taylor. Lawyer? That word just sounds fake. Does that word sound fake to you, producer George? Lawyer? Anyways, heard 3 people talk: the judge, Dakota's lawyer, Taylor's lawyer. I was expecting Taylor to be saying something the way that her comment was presented. Now, her lawyer did say, my client takes accountability, like 3 or 4 times. If that's what she was referring to, which that can only be what she was referring to, in my opinion, yeah, I would hope that the lawyer that you hired is rooting for you. Dakota's lawyer was rooting for him, and the judge was objectively judging the both of you. I just thought I was looking for something more, the way that she responded, and I found nothing. Nothing. I spoke as many words at that hearing as she did, and I wasn't there, so I don't, that wasn't the, you missed this whole thing where I was taking accountability like I thought it was going to be when she challenged me to go watch that or invited me to go watch that. I did. Took 2 hours to watch it, and I just left it sad, honestly, hearing all the things that have gone on. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Nobody cares about my opinion on, well, probably any of this, and that's reasonable. But just briefly speaking about their relationship, obviously toxic, vitriolic, both contributed to the awful nature of that relationship, and I hope that they never get back together. I was hoping that after season 1 and season 2 and season 3 and season 4, and that frankly is the foundation of what I do want to talk about, which is a situation between Taylor Frankie Paul, who you've gotten to know as I've been talking, and a woman on the show named Michaela Matthews. Okay, Michaela Matthews is an influencer, was before the show, still is. And she shared her thoughts on Taylor Frankie Paul and Dakota's relationship within the last couple weeks. It was actually the day before Mother's Day. How am I supposed to forget, of course? The day before Mother's Day. She shares something on her Instagram story talking about how it is tough to be Taylor's friend. It has been tough to be Taylor's friend for a number of reasons. Number one, the back and forth with Dakota. Going to Dakota, ending things, getting back together, ending things, getting back together, ending things, getting back together. And then she shares how there have been many moments over the last number of years that are rock bottom moments for Taylor. And if Michaela is of the opinion that if you don't show up to her, for Taylor in a certain way, at a certain time, then she turns on you. You have to be there at the right time, the right moment. And a perfect example is there's a moment years ago, Taylor Frankie Paul, her stardom is on the rise. She gets invited to go to the CMAs, Country Music Awards. And I don't know if she presented. I don't recall. I don't watch the CMAs personally. Just not my style of music. Except for, she's from Texas, I can tell. I can't sing too much. Or copyright, but that's a fun song. But I digress. Taylor Frankie Paul involved with the CMAs in some form or fashion and posts about that. And then she posts on her story something to the effect of, POV, when you go to the CMAs and you post about it and none of your friends from Mom Talk comment on it. Something like that. That's not a direct quote, but that was the vibe of, she called out the moms in Mom Talk for not commenting on her video. And she had members of Mom Talk, right? Her best friend group, we're supposed to believe, in her comments being like, okay, so I texted you. Hey, did your mom's hair for free? I did this, 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 but I didn't do exactly what you wanted when you wanted it. I'm the bad guy. I'm the enemy. And that was one very public thing where I was like, oh, that's very weird behavior by Taylor to do this. And from my understanding, I haven't rewatched all 4 seasons, recently. I don't recall her being like, yeah, that was an odd thing for me to do. Y'all were right. My bad. I was just proud of this thing and my feelings got hurt, but that was bizarre for me to call you guys out. If anything, I feel like I have memories of her defending her decision to do that. And that's a theme that we're going to talk about, where it's like it or leave it. It's me. And if you have a problem with anything that I do, that's your problem. And that attitude is the opposite of taking accountability. Okay? But to continue on this timeline, Michaela shares that statement. Taylor, of course, not a fan of the statement, posts something to the effect of, or leaves a comment about how it was really hurtful what she said. Michaela also talked about, she used an analogy because Michaela does deal with chronic skin health problems. And so she used an analogy that if herself, Michaela, was using a cream to take care of her rashes and then became well aware that those rashes were not actually healing, they were doing the opposite, but she kept using that specific cream despite knowing that it does not help, that it continues to harm. At some point, when is it the cream's fault? At some point, at what point is it, okay, how much evidence do you need to see to keep going back? And Taylor did not appreciate that analogy. She said that comparing her situation with Dakota, a domestic violence situation, to the cream and rashes analogy was an awful thing to do. She felt like it was shrinking the seriousness of the domestic violence situation. And, I don't think it's my place to have an opinion to say that Taylor should feel some sort of way about Michaela's analogy. Whether she thinks it was good, bad, has no opinion, she can have her opinion. My issue is her reaction. Because this is what she chose to do. She spoke out on it, which is whatever. Speak on it. But then she chose to repost videos made by other people saying awful things about Michaela. One of which made the claim, and I'm going to give a trigger warning here for crimes against children. There was a creator who made a video that said that Michaela cannot be a serious advocate against child abuse because of who Michaela's husband is. Quick backstory. Michaela was a minor when she got pregnant with her now husband, who was not a minor. His name is Jace. Again, if you've been following me, you know my opinion on Jace. I'm not a fan. I struggle with this. No, I don't struggle with this. Because of that situation I just mentioned, minor, not minor, I think you're gross. Okay? And you can give me any reason of the age wasn't told at the beginning or this or that. I maybe call it unfair, call it whatever. I'm not a fan. I think it's disgusting. Not a fan of Jace. That's there. What's also there is that Michaela has been open about being sexually abused as a child by a family member for years when she was a very young child. And so this creator said, you can't have an opinion, or you can't be an advocate against child abuse, despite the fact that you were abused as a child for years because of who your husband is. Because you continue to be married to your husband, your opinion is void. And Taylor reposted that, seemingly endorsing that idea. So in response to not being a fan of the analogy, in response for Michaela not having 100% support and condoning everything that Taylor's done, her response isn't, hey, that hurt me the way that you said that. She did say that, but then she also said, also, you can't be an advocate for those who are abused as a child, despite the fact that that's what happened to you as a child. To take it to that level is absolutely bizarre to me. And yet, a pattern of behavior. And that is the source of all this. How many times do we have to see Taylor treat people who have been friends, she's called friends, but the moment they don't 100% support everything that she's doing or saying, they become an enemy. They become an enemy. And I want to read something, okay? I want to read some things. Because I come with the receipts. I'm not just yapping and blabbing. I've been reading too. Okay? So Michaela shares what she does the day before Mother's Day. Taylor makes a response directly at Michaela on Mother's Day, starting this caption with, "It's Mother's Day, so I'll say whatever I want." So then she talks about Michaela. She's throwing shots at Michaela. It's a big, long caption. You can go find it in its entirety, but I want to read the end. She goes, "Thank you, God, for the people you sent to help me through all of this with my enemies so close." Enemies. We go to friends to enemies so quickly. So quickly we go to friends to enemies. Right? The impulse to turn on someone the moment they don't absolutely agree with you. The moment they don't comment on your CMA post at the right time. The moment when, if you're a fan of the show, this was really telling in season 4, right? Her friends, her best friends, learn of some information they know that Taylor won't be a fan of. And before they go and tell her that information, they feel the need, and turned out it was proven to be correct, the need to huddle up to say, how are we going to present this information to Taylor? Because we know based off of past behavior, and again, they were vindicated because of the behavior towards this situation that they were preparing for. We need to prepare how we tell this information because we know the reaction is going to be so heavy, so intense, so hot, so mean. Do we tell her now or then? And then they end up not really knowing what to do. And then the information comes from another source, and then they feel the wrath anyway. If you have your friends huddling up, trying to talk about how are we going to tell someone this information because we know that when we do, she's going to attack us, that's a problem. And then the information's found out, phone call, phone call, phone call. F you, F them, F everybody, F this, F that, F everybody, F, 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 F. And this is where the taking accountability comes in, okay? Because a couple days after the Mother's Day situation, and I had decided that I wanted to talk about how she doesn't take accountability, she made a post where she said, on this post, I'm taking accountability. And I thought to myself, oh, wow. I'm not going to have a show. I'm going to have to change my episode topic. Frankly, for the best. I'm happy she's taking accountability. I went and read the post. Accountability. Beep, beep, beep. This is me scouting for accountability. Beep, beep, beep. Nowhere to be found. It was absolutely nowhere to be found. In fact, all that there was evidence of what it seems to be what she thinks accountability is, which is a declaration of wrongdoing. Accountability to Taylor Frankie Paul, I believe, just from seeing all these situations, equals declarations of wrongdoing. You watch the show, how often, and when there's a fight, when there's a situation going on, does she say, okay, I'm not perfect. Okay, I'm not innocent. Okay, I made mistakes. And it's used in a way of, therefore, let me say what I'm about to say and you can't get mad at it because I just let you know that I'm not a perfect person. So because now we know that I can kind of do whatever now. And if you're mad, just go back to that part when I said I know I'm not perfect. Okay? I already admitted that. I'm not perfect. I'm not innocent. I made mistakes. So for what I'm about to say, you can't get mad at because I already declared that, okay? That's not accountability. Accountability isn't just the words. In fact, that's the start, but that's not the finish. Accountability is, oh my gosh, I did that thing. That was wrong. Next step, apologies where needed. Beyond that, making changes to behavior. And I have wanted to sit and observe for a decent amount of time before coming to a conclusion that something is an oft repeated behavior. I feel fine being at the conclusion that I am now at, which is Taylor Frankie Paul avoids accountability, like she's allergic to it, because of a pattern of behavior. The CMA thing happened years ago. Then we see season 4, her friends are worried just the same, that she's going to do something similar when they tell her information she does not like, and guess what happens? What they feared comes true. You see her fighting with her family, with her mom. All right? And you can have whatever opinion on Leanne that you do. I have one. Okay? And the whole dynamic growing up, the way that Taylor Frankie Paul did, the way that she's speaking to her mom, I thought I was watching a teenager, a tween, going back and forth with her mom. Not someone who's my age. I was like, if I talked to my mom like that, first of all, I would be embarrassed to do that. I would be absolutely embarrassed to do that, to talk to somebody like that at all. But my mom? And then expect her to stick around? I'm not perfect. Mom, I'm not perfect. Says mean things to mom. But it's fun. I said I'm not perfect. So why are you getting mad about it? Okay? Over the last year or so, here are just some of the TikToks, the videos, the reels that Taylor Frankie Paul has made and posted, and the words on these videos. They're not in the caption, but they're words on the videos, if you know what I'm trying to say. And they can be, people can try to dismiss this as sarcasm or jokes or whatever, which is something that she has tried to do. Oh, I'm just a joker. I'm just being sarcastic. At some point, you say something enough that's like, I don't think that's a joke. I don't think this is just hee hee ha ha. Over the last year or so, these are some things that she has said, and I don't think she's joking. Scared that therapy is actually working. I haven't wanted to piss anyone off, and that's one of my favorite things to do. I can see that being true. Absolutely. I was advised to wait 24 hours before reacting and posting something savage back, so I compromised and said, I'll give it 24 minutes to change my mind. When I created a savage clapback and the Holy Spirit says, take it down, and I think he means to take it down just a notch. Okay, when Taylor Frankie Paul asks someone who isn't her biggest fan, who doesn't support everything that she does, who isn't reacting in the way that she wants them to react, again, the CMA thing, you didn't comment on my post at the right time. You may have done this and that, this and that, this and that, but in my mind, I had a right place, right time, and you missed it. And because you missed it, you're a bad friend. And then again, the friend huddle. Watching it, I was like, wait, this is crazy. Having your friends huddle up to discuss, we got to figure out the right way to talk to her, because we know that if we don't do it in the right way at the right time, she's going to freak out. And then guess what happens? Someone else she calls, when did you know? How long have you known? What happened to hello, good day? What happened to hello, I have a question? When did you know? How long have you known? Why didn't you tell me? F you, F them. And then accountability, from her point of view, is saying the day after, oh, that was crazy. I'm not perfect. No, taking accountability is saying, yeah, that was bad of me. I am sorry. That was wild of me. Totally uncalled for. I'm not going to do that again. And if I do, then I'll seek even more help and assistance for getting me past having to react so big, so violently, so quickly. But it's a pattern. It is a pattern of behavior. We see it here. Again, here's another one. You know you're doing it right when all your enemies build an alliance to try and bring you down. All your enemies? No. I mean this so kindly. Nobody's building an alliance against you. Nobody's meeting up. We're all going to come together and let's plan this out and let's figure out how we're going to take her down. I think that's how Taylor Frankie Paul really thinks. Because, and this is some evidence of why I think that, Michaela writes her statement. Taylor reacts to that statement, and at the end of it says, the day before Mother's Day, the timing seems suspicious, or something of that accord. She called out it being the day before Mother's Day and feeling like it was a calculated move. When you have the mindset that there are people around you that are your enemies and that are teaming up and that everything's a calculated attack, and then you are justified by reacting the way that you do because that's what these people are doing. You're just kind of giving them what they're giving you. You view everything anyone does that isn't exactly what you want them to do or how you want them to be as an attack. Then you are like, you feel justified in attacking the way that you do. I don't understand how that can be viewed by anybody as taking accountability. And seeing her say, that's me taking accountability. Or other people who are professional therapists online saying she's taking so much accountability. And I think they post that and like, I hope she reposts it so I get so many followers and new clients. That's my personal opinion of why there are therapists online making diagnoses or being like, hey, as a professional, here are my thoughts. That's a crazy thing in its own right. But here are some more things that she is, again, these are things that she writes, she puts on a video, she posts. My intrusive thoughts had me thinking, it could be me that's the problem, but don't worry, I quickly snapped out of that nonsense. That's just a joke. It's just so silly. I'm just being sarcastic. Okay, I would laugh at that if we had all this other evidence that you thought differently, but in fact, we have the opposite. We got a whole stack of evidence that does seem to show that one, Taylor Frankie Paul believes that when there's a beef, the problem is always the other person. Okay? A number of years ago, maybe a year ago, I saw a video that has since become Bible to me. And I got to go find the original creator because she was prophetic to me. Okay. I don't mean that super seriously, but this lesson, I was like, I'm adopting that. She said, I will let you have 3 beefs until I think you're the problem. You can come to me and say, this person, oh my gosh. And I'll go, oh my gosh. And then you come back and you say, okay, but then this person, and I'm like, oh wow. And then later on you tell me, okay, but just wait till you hear about this person. And I go, that is crazy. But then if you come to me again, I'm going to start thinking there is a common denominator here. And it's not person A, B, C, or D, but it's you. Have you ever had someone in your life come to you and share all these things, all these interpersonal issues, and when they're telling you what's going on, it is always the other person? There's no part of the person that's like, yeah, and I did this and that. And again, if you were to tell this story and say, okay, yeah, I know I'm not perfect, I'm not innocent, but let me tell you all the details about what this person did. Again, that's the whole thing that I was just talking about, the faux accountability, the fake accountability, the facade of accountability. That sentence, when it's used by people, what it's trying to do is like, okay, I admit it, I'm not perfect, okay, anyways, let me tell you about this person. Boom. My intrusive thoughts tell me that maybe I'm the problem, but don't worry, I kick him out. Hee hee ha ha. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. It's just sarcastic. It would be funny if it wasn't true. But because it's true, it's a problem. And we're seeing it happen here. Taylor is losing friendships with all of her friends, all of her closest friends. Because the moment they don't do exactly what she wants them to do, when to do it, how to say it, where to say it, they're cut off. Boom, they're gone. Boom, they're gone. And it can be so quick. All right? It can be so quick. I know that. Not from Taylor Frankie Paul, but other people in my life that have a similar vibe where everything is everyone else's problem. Everyone else is the problem. Me, I'm just being authentic. I'm just being myself. Take it or leave it. Take it or leave it. And if you don't like it, you're my enemy. Okay. Then I guess in your story, I'm your enemy because I'm a different person than you. Like, I'm not going to kiss the feet. I'm not going to bow down. I'm not going to treat you like you're on a different level than me. I think we're just both people. Oh, well, be gone. You're my enemy. You are praying for my downfall. You want me to not succeed. You actively want me to fail. What are you talking about? I don't think about you that much. You really think I'm over here plotting your demise? I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to pay my gas bill. All right. I'm over here trying to figure out which streaming service, all right, my favorite show is on because it came out 2 weeks ago, but I can't remember. Is it on Max? Is it on Apple TV? Is it on Hulu? Let me figure it out. I'm not over here trying to figure out how to bring you down. Sorry to disappoint you. You're not on my mind that much. Don't interrupt me when I'm going at someone because then I'll add you in. Don't doubt it. Don't doubt it. Just another thing on one of her videos. Another one. I'm the type that comes with a lot, crashes out, fixates, cries a lot, gets jealous, overthinks, creates chaos. Some call me crazy, but I don't give an F. Y'all, that's me. Creating chaos is not a personality trait. Admitting that you are creating chaos, creating problems, that's not, oh, that's just me. That's an excuse to not take accountability. This is what I don't understand. Anyone who supports her and her, when she came to my video and said, rewatch that hearing, that's me taking accountability. No, it's not. You openly say, hey, I create chaos. My name's Taylor. This is where I'm from. This is my favorite food. Some fun facts about me. I like this. I like that. I create chaos. Like, that's not a personality trait. That's not a thing that makes a person the person that they are. That's an active choice. That is a decision. And it's a bad one. It's a poor one. And it's one that ruins relationships in a matter of moments, seconds, and we're seeing it in real time. In real time. And doing that and then saying at the same time, I take accountability, it makes no sense. No sense. Here's a caption. I'm the most calm, chaotic person you'll ever meet, along with the messiest but most detail-oriented tendencies. I don't get it either. Go ahead and try to diagnose me per usual. Again, the open admittance of, I'm chaotic. I create chaos. I'm over here and I make problems. I create issues. I divide. I do it. And if you don't like it, that's just me. I guess you don't like me then. If you don't accept me for me, the way that I am, chaotic, messy, hurtful, vengeful, then leave it. Then leave me. You're my enemy now. You're my enemy now. And I'm going to repost things that say awful things about you. I'm going to comment things that say awful things about you. I'm going to be the meanest person, but it's your fault. This isn't my fault. No. If you had just listened to me when I told you how to think and what to do and when to do it, we wouldn't have this problem. But it was you who decided to get out of line with how I think and how I operate. So this is your reward. This is your consequence. You chose it. I think that's the thought process. I truly think that's the thought process. And it's bad. And then this is my thing. I'll see people who think like this, including Taylor Frankie Paul, who act like this, like Taylor Frankie Paul, and then will say, I'm so lonely. I have no support system. Nobody cares. Nobody loves me. I'm so all by myself. If I were to, and here's an analogy, if I were to purchase a bag of gummy bears, which I love, and then I choose to eat all of them, and then I look around and I say, I have no more gummy bears, and I'm sad. Who was to blame for not having any more gummy bears in that package? Me. I made the choice to eat them all. I made the choice to get rid of them. Because of my decisions, there are no more gummy bears. And I can want more gummy bears, but what I have to make actions to go and get more gummy bears. Now, not a perfect analogy because we don't buy friends like we buy gummy bears, okay? Friends, much more, you don't buy friends. But the point I'm trying to say is that you ruin these relationships, so then people make distance, they set boundaries. Psychobabble coming into the conversation, all right? Therapy speak, using therapeutic terms to justify poor behavior, but this is one that's legitimate. Someone makes a boundary, distances themselves from you, and then you're like, oh, nobody likes me. Nobody likes me because nobody's my friend. Everybody hates me. I'm so lonely. You think maybe part of it could maybe be you? The way that you're acting? The decisions you are making? You know that you cannot make those choices because this is the problem. Once you put into your mind being chaotic, being messy, that's just who I am. If you operate from that, then yeah, you probably really do feel like you can't keep friends because that's just a part of who I am. That's just who I am. That's just me. No, take accountability and realize that chaos and being very reactive and making these choices are that. They are choices. They are decisions. You have active will. Okay, and again, I want to make it very clear, and I hope it is by this point because I haven't talked about it. I'm not talking about Dakota and her. I'm talking about her and her friends. Okay, I'm not talking about a cycle over here. Other people can talk about that. People who have had personal experiences with domestic violence, I will let them talk about that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about interpersonal relationships over here. Friendships, close relationships with family. If you want to have those, you can have those. You just have to stop making the choices that is creating the distance. If you don't want that distance there, make different choices. But the moment you identify with a chaos creator as a personality trait and not something that you can change, then yeah, you're not going to have a lot of friends. You're not going to have a lot of close people. Because if your personal rules, said out loud or not, but in your head are do what I want you to do, support me in the way I want you to support me, and if you don't follow the rules that I haven't told you, then you're kicked out, you're my enemy. Everyone's going to end up your enemy. And then that's going to support your idea that there's an alliance of enemies out there plotting against my downfall, rooting for my failure, like Michaela is. Despite the fact Michaela has 5 kids, maybe 4 or 5, despite the fact that she has her own stuff going on, despite the fact that her body is shutting down, despite all this, she's actually spending her time plotting my downfall. I don't think she's taking time out of her day, Taylor, to plot against Taylor Frankie Paul. Because frankly, who would want to go after you? All it does is create chaos. All it does is have you repost things of you can't be a real advocate against sexual abuse because of who you're married to. Michaela wouldn't wish that upon herself. Okay, she spoke on her truth, her true feelings. I think knowing that backlash was coming, that a reaction from you was coming, that vitriol and vengeance in a big emotional response attack was coming from you. And then it did. And it still is. From the point of this recording this on what is today? May 18th. May 18th. Okay, so now psychobabble. What is that? What is it? It's a term that's new to me personally. Learned over the last couple of days, but it's a it's a thing. I just didn't have a word. I just didn't have a word to describe the thing. But the use of therapeutic terms to excuse behavior that is bad is one way to view psychobabble. Psychology, language, babbling, kind of like, okay, where are we getting to type of speaking, right? So psychobabble. Taylor Frankie Paul has engaged in this practice of psychobabble, where plotting attacks against me, enemies, anyone who's speaking against me is my enemy, using terms like gaslight, manipulate, trauma to justify poor behavior, to excuse poor behavior, to give excuses, and to not take accountability. And this is where it gets tricky, because those things I just said, gaslighting, trauma, right? Those things are real. They are real. And just saying that something is that thing, describing a situation as gaslighting, doesn't make it gaslighting. Could be. Very well could be, but also very well could not be. This person is being a bad friend, my enemy. They are plotting against me. Could be. Could also not be. And I think that because of the great effect that the addition of this type of language has had in a very beneficial way to us as a people, that there's become an overuse and a misuse of that language in an attempt to make bad behaviors okay. Well, if I describe it as this psychological thing, then it makes what I did okay. No, but you don't understand. I did it because this and that and this, so therefore it's justified. No. It's not a magic word that you just can say, or a magic number of terms that you can say, and it makes everything fine. It makes your reactions justified. It makes those things good. No. Okay, that's a misuse of a good thing. That good thing being language to describe poor behaviors, manipulative behaviors, all right, damaging behaviors. But the moment that it's understood by someone that if I use these words to describe a situation, then it will justify any and all that I do, then that's an issue. And I think that's something bigger than Taylor Frankie Paul. I think that's something bigger than this back and forth with her friends. I think that's a problem that exists everywhere these days, frankly. Okay, and I will say this. When I read Taylor Frankie Paul's captions, when I see her going after friends because they disagree with her, I hear another person's voice. That person in the White House. Okay, Taylor Frankie Paul, to me, is the Donald Trump of her world. Oh, you disagree with me? No, you're Marjorie Taylor Brown, because brown grass is not green grass. It's the opposite, okay? Like, the moment you say something that they don't like, they turn on you. They never liked you. They've never heard you. But just 2 months ago, when you were cheering him on. Oh, that's a great guy over there. Look at him. I love him. And then 2 months later, I've never heard of the guy. From what I have heard, he's a pretty bad guy. Like it does not surprise me that she evidently likes the guy in the White House, because her and him are on the same wavelength when it comes to allegiance, when it comes to if you're not with me, you're against me. Anakin Skywalker, bars. It's just like when I read the captions, when I read the big, right? I mean, Trump will go out there on True Social, whatever the heck that is, and I'll see a screenshot from it, and I'm like, bro, you writing your own Declaration of Independence? That's long. And I go and I see her caption, long. And then she adds it's a carousel, and the words are little. And you read them, and it's like, oh, this is just saying this person did this to me and did this to me and my enemies, and I'm not going to give up, and this is who I am, and if you don't like it, then leave it. I've heard that before. I've heard it before. Okay, so Taylor Frankie Trump. That's who I hear. When I say a lack of accountability as well, it's everybody else's fault. That wasn't me. That was them. That was their problem. Oh, there's an issue? It was their problem. That's who I hear. That's who I hear. And that's not just a couple things. It's a couple years of observations. So no, it does not surprise me that she's a fan of the guy with the red hat. But those are my thoughts on Taylor Frankie Paul. Those are my thoughts on her avoiding accountability. Those are my thoughts on psychobabble. Those are my thoughts and my responses to her response to tell me to watch the hearing. I did. I heard no more accountability there than I have anywhere else. So I do sincerely. I say all this, and you might not believe it by the end of this, but I truly want her to get better. I truly want her to change for her sake, because then she'll have closer, more meaningful friend relationships, family relationships, and for the people around her. It's not, I've been in the circle of those who remind me of Miss Paul, and it is not only exhausting, but then it always blows up. You always get cut off. They always don't like you, and then they say that they're lonely, and it's just bad for, frankly, both people. Like, it's a relationship that could be so great because it has been, but then there's this thing, this part of the relationship where you know that if one thing is off on purpose, on accident, the whole thing is going to blow up. And that's stressful for everybody involved, everybody. And I truly think it's more sickness than someone like just a bad person. I don't think Taylor Frankie Paul is a bad person, okay? As a human being who's been on this earth for 31 years and my limited expertise, but as someone who has had just interpersonal relationships over the last 3 decades, what I see is what's happening is a lot less, oh, this person's just a bad person, stop, whatever, and someone who could use help. That's as far as I'll go with that. And with that, I'll see you all next week. Thank you for listening to The Tomsters Show.